there's plenty of time to fix the inefficiencies and effectiveness of people's financial plans. Okay. The time not to do it is when you're in retirement.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Raymond Jewell, and I'm here with my friend and longtime partner, Matt McCarter. We did a video last week, Matt. Good morning, by the way.
Yeah. Good morning.
Sorry. We did a video last week, and we got some pretty crazy responses on it. Over 1,000 people liking and commenting. So I'm just going to read a few of them. The question is, why an employer match 401k can be a catastrophic decision. So I'm going to throw these over to you because you're the one that said it.
Gotcha. So the comment that we were talking about was, I used an example, if my memory serves me, of how a 401k decision is important in the younger years. And I think I used an example of somebody starting their career and, what considerations need to be taken in the 401k in the early years.
Yeah, it was your client's child. But this guy writes, and I don't think this is clear. You tell me. That's a big lie, because what they don't say is they're invested in a way that has expiration and it gets smaller. Fidelity is good for that. Now, if people can't write clearly, we don't want to mess with them. So if that's not real clear to answer, then let's move on. Just tell me.
I'm not sure what they're talking about there. I mean, yeah. Basically, when you put into a 401k, you're taking the money out of you're putting the money in pre-taxed. The money's going to grow tax deferred. And then when you reach your retirement years, the income, the proceeds that come out are going to be fully income taxable. So the game can change in depending on what the laws are on the tax codes at that point. So what I was telling people to do was take into consideration the long term early in their plan. So what most people do is they get their job and they put the maximum in to a 401k. And you most likely are at your lowest wage earning years in your first several years in the business, or your first several years in a career. Okay. So you're deducting today to receive a tax advantage that money goes in. And instead of paying, let's say your marginal income tax bracket is 18%. Okay. Instead of paying 18% on it. Well, when you're retired, most likely you're going to be pulling out more money than you were in your first several years working, potentially putting you at a higher tax bracket. So a lot of times what we do is we tell people, put into the match or put into the maximum to receive the company match, because that's free money. So if the tax codes do increase, you're getting free money as a retention tool from the employer, okay, putting into your retirement, okay? That money is going to come from the employer. They're getting a deduction from it, okay? And then it'll grow tax deferred, and then it'll come out to you income taxable. So what we usually recommend is put the maximum in to get the match, okay? And then look at alternative strategies that can help you meet the same thing, retirement income, but maybe soften the burden with the taxes.
Thanks to both of you for giving me the details. I'm really not wise with finances, and for a 401k that can make me look bad, I'd rather know the facts. Okay, so that's what we're giving them. Then we got another one here. I says, that's so rough. Seriously? The question is why an employer match 401k can be a catastrophic decision. He goes, that's so rough. Seriously? They want to tax a 401k match, and the company gets a tax break on the money, but the worker ends up picking it up. The worker ends up paying taxes. So they're giving you a match, they're getting a deduction, and the worker's paying taxes on all that money when they take distribution, right?
Correct. So there's a pro and a con to that. It's a benefit that you receive that additional funding into your retirement plan. However, you're paying taxes on it in the future. So it's a delayed response to the tax consequences there. So the reason that we use the model is to test the strategies that we do each and every year on a macro basis to make sure that it is combating the invaders like taxes, inflation, propensity to consume. Okay, so if we take those the two of those, taxes and propensity to consume, most people use a 401k as a savings tool today. Okay, because they want it out of their paycheck before their paycheck comes home, because it gives them structure and less propensity to consume that money. Okay,
Right.
I advise against that. The 401k is a tax deductible investment. So the first thing that should be considered is how to lower your tax consequences today, put money away on favorably treated on tax deferred growth so that you can gain that compound. Okay. And then when you take the income, it's going to be taxable. But what we do throughout the years in the model is we look at those tax codes. So that the catastrophic event that can happen in a 401k is, if you fund it properly, the way the financial institutions want you to, you can amass $2-3 million inside a 401k. You're at the beck and call of whatever the tax strategies or whatever the tax codes are at that point, meaning that you can't roll money out, you can't do anything with it. It's fixed in something that is going to be income taxable to you. Okay. So a lot of times what we do, and I think we touched on this last week as well, is all products are built for a specific reason. So the model, what it allows us to do is stay agnostic to products, look at the individual concern on a micro basis. Like, let's say, for example, retirement, and we look at the 401k box or the tax deductible box, right?
Right.
But then what we do is we broaden it out and we look at it on a macro basis and say, okay, how's that going to affect us each and every year? And what's it going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? So a lot of times the individual consultation that we have is we'll be looking at something saying, listen, let's do it this way. Make sure 5 years from now that nothing's changed. And if something has changed, we can pivot, right? So a lot of times, what I'll recommend for a young person starting their first career is look at the Roth option, okay? Because the Roth IRA is a vehicle that is built for retirement, but has different tax havens, meaning that the money that goes in has already been taxed.
Right.
It grows tax deferred. And if held until 59 and a half, now you're able to get that tax free. However, there is qualifying factors on whether you can put into a 401k, or excuse me, put into a Roth IRA. It can only be off of earned income. Okay.
Right. Right.
So it has to be wages that you put in. And if you make a certain amount of money, you are ineligible to put into a 401k or into a Roth IRA. So a lot of times in the younger years, what we try to do is give the young investor the opportunity that they know they can put it in there, have that money grow tax deferred, and now have another vehicle on top of their 401k that'll give a tax-free income. The 401k will have a taxable income. So now we're managing the distribution side of your retirement with planning early on the model.
People have a tendency to follow the financial institution to stretch themselves and deposit tons of money into a retirement plan and then get caught with catastrophic expenses. They have no, what was referred to years ago in economics was a sinking fund. And the model actually shows that. So when they see that structure, they can see that maybe that Roth 401k in their younger years is a great idea. And it'll show that, but then it'll show once they're ineligible, and then what do you do with the money? And I guess the question I'm asking, assuming you've got your defense lined up, when you get to a certain level, are you still able to put money into up to the level that they say you can't, or are you totally eliminated out of the Roth IRA for something else?
if you don't meet the qualifications, then that product is ineligible for you.
So you have to stop.
Yes.
If you were doing it before, you have to stop and you have to go to something else like a 401k or
Or other
pension or
strategies that are out there, correct, depending on the lifestyle that happens or your lifestyle changes that are happening there. So for example, I have customers that their income is too high and are unable to contribute to the Roth IRAs. So
right.
if you didn't do it when you were eligible, you can't take advantage of it later on,
Okay.
unless
Yep.
there's a way for you to structure your income differently. Some self-employed people have the flexibility to do that. A lot of employers now are giving options of Roth IRAs inside of their 401ks because people are becoming more wise about the tax consequences in the future. The old philosophy was, and I don't want to say old philosophy, but the years ago what we were taught is when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Remember
don't
that.
I don't see that happening a lot. And a lot of times people are spending the same amount of money that they were their pre-retirement years in their retirement years because their lifestyles requiring that. They could be doing more traveling. They could be spending more money on grandkids. And I mean, there's numerous things to take into consideration there. What we do with the offense and defense is basically take a look at how we can combat the invaders that can come into your world. Taxes, lawsuits, propensity to consume, product obsolescence, anything that can deflate or hurt the growth, we have to have a defensive stance on. So the first thing that we do is we look at all of your insurance needs to make sure that if anything happens, that you are kept whole in that particular situation. But if you look at the 401k strategy, okay, both of those products are offensive products. An IRA and a Roth IRA job is to put money, have it grow, and during the retirement, have proceeds come to you. However, by having the combination of the two products working together in sync on our model, you have now combated, you've played some defense with offensive players or offensive products to combat an invader like taxes.
Yeah. Next week, I'd like to go into the model and like show the model and let people see it.
Give people a visual. Give people a visual on what we talk about when we
Right.
put it in there. Yeah.
Right. But one of the things that I noticed in the comments, like one guy got it. He said a Roth IRA, but again, you said that's limited as your income goes up, and that's interesting. What you just said that they're putting Roth IRAs inside 401ks.
Mm-hmm.
How do they control the taxation of that?
Through their filings, their filings.
Wow.
I mean, they file forms every year for you on behalf of your contributions, so that the IRS knows not to that is a deferred tax contribution in there. So they're filing those forms saying, okay, your wages were here. You deducted X amount of money to go into a Roth. That is still taxable this year. So there's a phantom tax there, okay? Because you actually didn't receive the money, but yet you paid taxes on it, okay?
Right.
And then you have the deduction of the money going into the 401k, okay? And then hopefully you have the match on top of it. So what you're doing is you're funding two retirement plans, and then your employer, and the reason your employer is doing it is to show you that they care about you and they're giving it to you as a retention. You know what I'm saying? They're saying, hey, listen, this is part of the employee benefits. We're gonna match your contributions. Let's say they'll match 50% up to 6%. So you put 6% in, the company would then put 3%, and you have almost 10% of your income going into a retirement vehicle.
Which is back to the model and the financial defense and financial offense. That's great, but you got to have the offense. I mean, I spent years talking to people about structure and models and how you got to see it before you do it. Show that we simulate out into the future, and all that gets exposed. But the financial world, I don't know if they fight me on it, but the financial planners, and there are some good financial planners out there, don't get me wrong,
For
but
sure. Yeah.
they really don't talk about the simulation effect and how you can see what's going to happen. I mean, it could rock your boat if you actually saw what's going to happen in the future. And I go to Walmart. I walk into Walmart. I see nice people greeting you,
Hmm.
elderly people. Why are they there? Not because they want something to do, but they could go volunteer somewhere. They want to make some money.
Yeah.
And there's a whole hiring market of seniors. I'm down here in Naples, Florida, and there's seniors. You get up out of Naples. I mean, Naples is a little affluent, but you get out of Naples and you go to these stores, and I mean, you see people, elderly people working in banks.
Hmm.
They're hiring seniors
Hmm.
because they need to work, and it's going to get greater. So if people would at least let see it in a model.
Yeah.
I get a little passionate, and Steve probably cut this out.
Well, the passion is good because what you're doing is you're teaching. We're trying to teach people that a 401k is not bad. Okay, a Roth IRA is not the pill that's going to solve all the consequences. And I think that's what people are looking for. And there is no pill. There's no one financial product that you can say, you know what, this meets everybody's needs, because it doesn't. What you have to do, and I think what the model does the most, and when people ask me, well, why do you keep talking about the model, is one, it gives you visual. Okay. So instead of looking at a pie chart that says, well, if you would have invested in a growth mutual fund, okay, in 2012, okay, in 2023, it would have given you an average rate of return of 8.5%, okay, and you would have this mountain of money. That's great. Okay. We do the same thing. But the problem is you have to take reality in that situation. So if you have $1 million sitting in a taxable event, really, depending on your tax code, maybe 73 to 80% of that is yours, because there's also a tax liability. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
yeah.
take the wisdom and know that there's going to be a liability in the future, why not plan on how to accomplish that in the most efficient and effective
Right.
manner? And that's the key thing. Is too many people get into these financial arguments. Okay. We hear it all the time with life insurance. Buy term, invest the difference, permanent life insurance, which permanent product to go with. Okay. You have to look at what's been tested and proven on models to see what's the best one for you. And a lot of times it's a combination of multiple products. In my life, I had several different types of life insurance over my years, right?
Yeah.
But
So,
they
yeah,
were put on a model, and they were worked on the model. And
yeah,
then there were changes done as my lifestyle changes came. It's
right.
too easy to say, well, at 25 years old, you only need life insurance up to age 65. Okay. That's that's a tough decision to make without knowing what your position or what lifestyle is going to give you at that age. So the model allows you to take a look at what's happening and then put it into practicality to say, listen, we understand that this is tax deductible, meaning that there's going to be a liability at some place, at some point. Let's look at that liability and examine it. And that's where the financial institutions don't, because they don't have a structured model that allows them to do
Yeah.
that, in,
And you
in
know
my
what's
opinion. And like you said, some financial advisors are doing that. Okay. But the majority of people are buying products, filling up their junk drawer because something attracted them, they had a need, and they just bought it to solve the need. But what they do is they have all of these financial products stuck there, and then they wake up one day and say, okay, what happened? Where
Yeah,
am I at?
what's interesting is when we get into the model, most of the time, just by reallocating dollars, they don't spend more money, but they just get more efficient.
Correct. I
Um,
I mean, a great example of that, Ray, is look at the Roth and 401k. You're still putting money away for retirement. You're
yeah,
utilizing two different strategies for a more efficient and effective outcome in the future.
right. One of the things that really floors me, when you look at our credentials, we've been around this field. I hate to say business, but we've been around this field for over 40 years. Me, you, 30.
I'm
I
in my
guess.
31st year right now.
We're not just pulling this stuff out of our ass. We're saying what people need to do to solve this problem. And we're talking about the structure. And last video I talked about building bridges, and they build models before they build bridges, and airplanes, they build models, and ships, they build models. Because whenever large money is at stake, models are built, except in the financial field. It's hodgepodge. It just grab it's like you said, whoever's in your life at the time and whatever need you've got or whatever problem you're dealing with, you try to solve it right away. And that's normal.
Yeah.
But if we can get people to sit down with the model, and we do, but I guess I'd like to introduce it to more. And I don't know whether we should do a seminar or what, but when we show them the model, the comments are unbelievable. Holy shit. Pardon my French, but just crazy responses. But people need to see it before they do it. And the ability to simulate it out into the future and show them what's going to happen can rock their boat and give them pause and relief that they can solve it. Haven't had anybody try to not say, I'm not going to solve this. I think you guys are full of crap. Nobody's ever said that to me.
No.
Have you?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've seen people do, what I've seen people is be very intimidated with it, because I think they're afraid to think that they've made a mistake with their money, or that what they've done over the past 10, 15, 20 years of their careers could backfire on them. But that's not true. There's plenty of time to fix the inefficiencies and effectiveness of people's financial plans. Okay. The time not to do it is when you're in retirement and you're stopping the inflow of, or the money coming in is being diminished. Now you have no control. Okay. But we've seen people that I'll say have been guided down the wrong path. Okay. And it's been simple moves. It's just, hey, listen, reallocate over here, put it over here. It's not that you have to sell, abandon, create all this work that needs to be done, and there's going to be taxes, penalties, and fees on top of that. Those fears should be alleviated. Are there fees on certain products? There are. When you talk about the registered products, the investment products, a lot of them are fee driven.
Right.
So you have to be educated on what's a proper fee. It's almost like the conversation that we have with people on mortgages. Should I do a 30-year or a 15-year? Okay. Well, if you make a 15-year and then all of a sudden you want to change, you now have to refinance. That is costing you money to change. Okay. If you start with something because you don't know the future very clearly, okay, and do a 30-year mortgage, but you put in the plan, okay, that you want it paid off in 15 years, that's different. Because now if something changes in your lifestyle, okay, and you need to shift, pivot, or reallocate money because something came up, sickness, illness, something great like a wedding or childbirth, you don't have to create that cost and lost opportunity cost to refinance. So the thing of it is, the financial institutions want you to do that, okay? Because they want you to make a decision today. They want you to lock it in so that they can have their projection of where you lie for 15 years or 30 years. What we need to do is have people focus on what's important for them with tons of flexibility in there, in the plan that also allows them to accomplish the goal at hand. Okay. That's the key thing, is use the products and then use the model to make the outcomes come true.